Okay, let's switch back to English because the next speaker is again from the Poland scene. His name is Michał Jarociński, and he's one of the few type designer in Poland. He's known as a Dada Studio, and probably he will talk about his project Capitalics, right? So please join me on the stage. Thank you.
Where's the laser?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, hi. Thank you for inviting me for your beautiful country and city. My name is Michał Jarociński and I'm typeface designer. I also teach typeface design at Academy of Fine Arts in Warsaw. And as it was said, I also run a small foundry with my students, former students, the people who graduated from the graphic department. This is this website, Capitalics WTF, which doesn't mean what you probably think. It means Warsaw Type Foundry. Ha. Now I'm going to talk about something serious. There will be no laughs, no jokes. Sorry for that. Because letters are not just abstract forms, and this is what I'm lately interested most: the connection between the typography, typefaces, and the language, the culture, the environment, and what is a script and intersection of scripts in some parts of the world. You have to know that letters are not just abstract forms that are used for emotionless transmitting of contents. Letters have personality, have character, even have nationality. They are medium to convey local traditions and history, culture, and I think they are key to the graphic design that really matters. While reading, we recognize the shapes of the words and a group of words, not only letters. We don't read letter by letter like little children. We need only a general outline. You can read it, yes? Great. We don't need any details. The order of letters is also not important, according to the research at Cambridge University. We can replace some characters with numbers. You can still, I think, read it. It's amazing how our mind can process these clumps of characters and match patterns it knows. Why then put importance to the typefaces? Individual writing components, glyphs, letters don't matter. I think the writing is not just simple form of communication. It performs different important functions, like it should describe reality, it should show relations between people and give us a kind of satisfaction, like when we speech, when we talk to a girl, when we talk to a policeman, that's completely different talks. The something similar is with typefaces. Robert Brinkhurst, author of Element of Typographic Style, one of the most influential texts on typographic design, said that simplicity is good, but so is plurality. Typography's principal function, not its only function, is communication. And the greatest threat to a communication is not difference, but sameness. it's something good to know. So bringing down writing to such utilitarian function of information is something that make our lives more poor. We get rid of our rituals. We get rid of our enriching habits. So we are also not so very satisfied with our lives now, I think. And what is worth noting that is each language has a specific drawing. It's because words differ from each other and they have individual look and length. In German there are many capital letters. This is the line here, German. In French we have many short 1, 2 letter, 3 letters words. And they appear in characteristic configurations. The most frequent ones, and you can see in English, in Spanish, in German. You can see that German line is quite dense, more dense than, for example, Spanish one. And in the history of design, there were many attempts to modify, to recreate the Latin alphabet and the whole system. In modern times, many typographers attempted to break with typographic traditions and they tried to create alphabet again. This was rooted in conviction that a new different age requires radical changes that would make human lives better. In 1928, Jan Tschichold, German theoretician, typographer, published a new typography. And in this treatise, he said that sticking to national writing, such as fracture and Russian Cyrillic, is a step back. And the Latin script for future should be changed, for example, like this one, without capital letters, very simple, should change to meet the new world, new economic conditions and modern era. Such postulates as Tschichold started the era of sans serif and geometric scripts. This is the Polish response for modernist mood of the time. This is a radical typeface project by Władysław Strzemiński. This is from 1930. Letters was designed by him, and they are almost unrecognizable, and all of the characteristics are gone. The single letters of a typeface are not legible. Just putting them together makes text readable, but almost readable. You can see here's the logotype of the city of Łódź, where Strzemiński was working on this typeface. It can be used on a logotype of this city. It fits perfectly, and I think it's the only good use of this typeface. Also, usually you can associate a typeface, old classic typeface, with a country where it was made or where it was most often used, like, of course, Garamond, Didot of France, etc., black letter in Germany. But these are classical typefaces. What about more new, modern ones? How to cast nationality or culture to a typeface? I'd like to present now 3 ways of doing this, I think, are our answer for this. These are Diacritics, local typographic tradition, and intersection of the scripts. First, let's start with Diacritics. Each language has its own specific sound. We are able to visualize sound with letters and diacritical signs. Most languages need additional characters. Some needs only a small number of them, but others basically look as they consist only of them. So like this Vietnamese and this Hungarian looks for me very interesting. Okay, let's see how Czechs, which they came to with Diacritics. This is the typeface by Wojtek Preising. He gave the Diacritics almost the same meaning as the base letters, even went so far that he adjusted appearances of base letters, like you can see here. U is very malformed. He had a constant concern about refining proportions. So the setting text with this typeface was quite difficult. Another example is typeface by Władysław Hugo Brunner. It is absolutely terrible typeface, but he put Diacritics here on the base letters, so he completely changed the rules. And Oldrich Menhard was a Czech calligrapher and typeface designer. He noted that Czech fonts should pay special attention to diacritics, and in this way, rich Czech culture would be properly demonstrated, and atmosphere of national character would be reflected. He knew, however, that no single letter reflects the Czech spirit, and any attempt in this direction can lead only to artificial and bad results. He was looking for a solution to make printed Czech text more balanced and more balanced than if it had been printed in other typefaces designed for other languages. According to him, the designer should not take into account features features such as construction of words and some special characters. But type designer should not invent new letter forms. The skeletal structure of the current classical letters is a result of a long evolution, and it must be respected. New Polish character. This is another example of how this time the Poles try to manage this matter, and this is made by Jan Januszowski, the printer from 16th century, who issued these books. I will show you. This is a treatise on Polish orthography. The uniqueness of this publication consisted in the fact that it was not just treatise on Polish spelling. All the texts that this book contained were submitted with a new typeface made especially for this book and reflecting new rules of orthography. At the time, there was arbitrariness of writing sounds, and no unified system basically exists. Januszowski dealt with a problem of writing sounds for Polish languages using just Latin fonts and typefaces. These are ligatures and special signs like L and U. That's done. The typeface designed by him was undoubtedly a very noble realization in its assumption. The author wanted to, as he writes, to give his own country a necessary and decorative thing, a Polish typeface of its own, not German. An important element of Polish typeface were ligatures. Januszowski focused on the most frequent appearing pairs on letters such as h, d, ż, ch, ż, like this, d, ż. ST. Character has recently had an excellent revival. A student from the Warsaw Academy of Fine Arts, Ania Wieluńska, make a revival of this typeface and use it to set the book she was doing for her diploma. Another way to transfer the character of the place and the culture to the font is to reach the typographic tradition of the given place. 2 years ago, I had the pleasure of being a mentor in a Warsaw Types project, which resulted in 12 new typefaces based on Warsaw street typography. You can see the exhibition here on somewhere here. At the beginning of this project, we had to ask, do cities have a unique typographic flavor, and how can vernacular lettering become a fresh resource of design inspiration, and how typographers can make urban space better. First of all, we were interested in vernacular typography created by hands of amateurs and craftsmen. Before, the streets were dominated by global brands and banal projects based on popular fonts. Handwritten and handmade lettering was the most common form of graphic art in public space. The creators of this science inspired each other, which is why fashion microstyles were created, having a strong local character. Every day, less and less of they are on the streets. They are usually one of realization not based on existing fonts. This science made with different techniques rarely have any documentation except for accidental photos. When they disappear forever. This was a very interesting task to create a typeface reflecting the flavor of the specific place, Warsaw. Warsaw does not look like this, you know. It's the worst part of Warsaw, I hope. We invited young and promising type designers to take a part in project. Along the whole process, they were guided by mentors and most experienced Polish graphic designers, typographers and type designers. And these are the fonts. Apropal, Bajderka, Cyrulik, Havana, Lombard, Magiel, Nocturne, Olympic, Pracho, Revil, Dagger, Zakład. 12 new fonts for Warsaw. The project was received very good, and a lot of these fonts can be seen out there on the streets in Warsaw, but also in other cities, and even on TV commercials. Here's a Pracho made by Maciek Włoczewski. And another font I'd like to mention is Gotham. You may remember it from Obama campaign. The Gotham was made in a similar way as Warsaw type fonts. Its author, Tobias Fairjones, documented science and lettering in New York and used it to create a typeface that reflects the New York. The New York is teeming with such letters, handmade sans serifs, and that share the common structure. It's probably that's why it's so popular in the United States and in New York, and probably that's why Obama won the election, because of the font, of course. And finally, the third way. For me, this is most interesting, intersection of scripts. This is a project I was introduced in Warsaw at ITP 2 years ago. It was for me a great example of this intersection. In the areas where different cultures are intertwined, national distinctiveness is very important. So the script of this area makes basis of this distinction. Cantus is a collaborative work by Laura Messiger, Christian Sarkis, and Juan Luis Blanco. It's lively attempt of developing a typeface family covering 3 writing systems: Arabic, following the Maghribi calligraphic style, Tifinagh, and Latin. Although these 3 scripts feature very different structures, rhythms, and designers managed to inject homogeneous feel to the family. As you may know or not, Maghribi is a term used by Arabs in relation to the northwest region of Africa, and this name was also adopted in European languages and referred to Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia, and now also to Libya, Mauritania, and Western Sahara, but also Andalusia. The multi-script typeface system aims to exploring a conceptual relationship between 3 different writing systems: Arabic, Latin, and Tifinagh. Tifinagh, this is it. In Maghribi coexistence of these cultures with different colonial periods has led to extraordinary legacy. The history of this region could be told in over the 20 languages, which could be written in one of these 3 writing systems. The Arabic was the starting point. It was based on the work of Moroccan calligrapher of the 19th century, Al-Kandusi. This concept was to design 3 styles that go beyond the difference in weight. They intended to mix solid and fluid forms that characterize this calligrapher. These are fluid. You can see it flows. Yes, and these are more static. The biggest challenge for Latin script was to create 3 different ways that could communicate with the Arabic and Tifinagh in a contemporary design context. The starting point was deep analysis of construction of the specific sample of Maghribi writing and how to reproduce it in Latin alphabet. This exploration was complemented with the research of Latin printing types and manuscripts that could share some of the most relevant features of the Arabic calligraphy, the rotation of the pen. Tifinagh, the most outstanding consequence of this script is the lack of models other than engraved inscriptions. There is not any calligraphic tradition in Tifinagh. Actually, there are no known manuscripts using that script. So modern digital fonts designed so far look for inspiration in geometric shapes of those inscriptions. This state of affairs gives rise to a whole set of challenges when it comes to approach a multi-script project in which the FINAC has to match Arabic and Latin scripts. The different nature, history, and tradition makes matching a complex enterprise, and there are multiple factors that should be considered. Moreover, the fact the three weights present diverse approaches, goals, and features poses a very challenge to the project. And here are they together. They work perfectly together. As you can see, absolutely amazing, beautiful work. For me, it's a real piece of typographic and typeface design art. Also, this seems to be toughest job for typeface designer, to make the system that connects scripts and cultures, and that cultures that originate from completely different worlds. Also must be very rewarding task. Creating a new typeface for system in a world of mixed cultures can help to connect different worlds. And here comes Arabic. Israeli typeface designer Liron Lavi-Turkenish has created a stylized writing system that merges two ancient alphabets, allowing Hebrew and Arabic speakers to read the same words. Her hope is that Arabic will promote coexistence in Israel and beyond. Liron was inspired by road signs in Haifa, the mixed Jewish and Arab city where she was born, and she has lived more of her life. She started with the theory that people can read pretty well while using only top half of Latin letters. We usually read the upper part of the letters. With some experimenting, Liron discovered that the same is true for Arabic, and by happy coincidence, the opposite holds for Hebrew, which we can read the bottom half. Based on the inside Turkenic combined each of 22 letters of Hebrew with each of 29 in Arabic to create Arabic alphabet with 638 characters. Vowels are used as needed for legibility below the Hebrew letters and above the Arabic ones, per the language's respective rules. Turkenic tested the Hebrew elements on herself and her friends. For advice on the Arabic, she turned to Arab commuters on her daily train ride from Haifa to Tel Aviv. And Arabic letters could be combined to form words, sentences. Hebrew speakers should be able to read the bottom half of the words, and Arabic speakers should be able to read the top half. Language, of course, can be a political issue in the Jewish state. Hebrew and Arabic both have sacred roots and are central to identities in Arabic and Palestinian conflict. The Arabic word for peace would say salam on the top and shalom on the bottom. Peace. Thank you.